Welcome into One-on-One on Suddenlink Channel 112. I am Reed, joined by Logan Mosier.
Oh, I thought you were going to do it.
Thought I was going to do it. Welcome in. There's a lot going on in sports. You got the NBA. I'm really excited, not being sarcastic. I'm now – Barrett has finally done it. I'm in on this hockey thing. I've been following along the past couple of days, and I'm excited for Friday. I'm excited for the rules explanation, and I'm excited to break down the Lightning. This is – one of the bigger stories, I think, in the history of the four major sports to lose the way they did. The Penguins are down, so we'll be talking about hockey on Friday. We've got a lot of basketball, NBA and NCAA, and Russell Wilson is a very wealthy man after that contract extension from the Seahawks. We'll get to that in segment 4, but let's start. We'll go back to Monday night and break down those games, and then we will get into last night's game. The Warriors blow a 31-point lead. I don't know what it is with the numbers 3 and 1. Blew a 3-1 lead to the Cavs, but a 31-point lead versus the Clippers. Lou Williams, 36 points. Curry, 29. Durant, 21. But it was 94-63 with 7:31 left to play in the third quarter.
Right, and the Clippers scored 85 points, I think, in the second half alone, which you got to give it to this Clipper team. They were down and out, 31 points, game's over at that point, right? No, whatever Doc Rivers said to those guys in the huddle was obviously the right thing to say, and to win one like that in Oracle, that's a really tough, really good win.
It's a great win. It's a historic win, but it's all for nothing.
Yeah.
It's all for nothing.
They're not going to win the series. Look at
it. Now, if I was Steve Ballmer, I would wake up like that every single morning.
Right.
For about 14 billion different reasons.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was a great comeback. But here's what champions do. And I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, the Warriors were not up 31 and thought, let's lose this game.
Yeah.
That is not what happened. The Clippers deserve all the credit in the world. But this is an opportunity for the Golden State Warriors, much like the New England Patriots do, the San Antonio Spurs do with Greg Popovich when he's on the – I mean, he's always mad about something.
Right.
They manufacture storylines for themselves. They create things and narratives to – because when you win – the fourth title is not as great as the first one. And Steve Kerr has talked about this. It's always difficult. But when you're doing what they've done, it gets a little boring. This will only make the Warriors better.
Yeah, and I think it kind of highlights some of the Warriors' weakness. DeMarcus Cousins went down in this game with a torn quad. You know, he's probably not going to be back for the rest of the playoffs. But do they really need him? Obviously, he makes them better when he's out there. But at the same time, it's not like they haven't won a championship without him. And I agree, they're going to use this game for the rest of the postseason as whiteboard material or locker room material to get them energized before a game. I would not want to be the Clippers. What would it be from 2 days from now? I think whenever they
tomorrow
night, whenever they have to play again.
Center.
Yeah, and there's a chance there's 5, 6, 7,000 Warriors fans in Staples Center, so it's not even like it's a true road game.
The Los Angeles Clippers are like the Los Angeles Chargers. They play a road game
everywhere.
82 times.
Yep.
The Chargers play a road game 16 times. This is not going to be a road game for the Golden State Warriors. You're right. It's a 45-minute flight. It's a ton of Warriors fans, whether they're real or not. They are going to be in the Staples Center. If the Clippers somehow steal Game 3, would you be worried if you're the Warriors?
No, I wouldn't be worried until the Clippers have won 4 games. Obviously, it's a little too late to get worried, but I don't think the Clippers pose a huge threat to making the Tampa Bay Lightning out of the Warriors or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I think if you're the Clippers, you have to take it and you have to look at it a different way. The Warriors are going to use it to motivate themselves. You have to look at that if you're the Clippers and say, we can win Game 3. We're in our home arena, even though it may not be as much of a home court advantage as it is in Oakland. But I think they got a ride on this. I don't think it's going to materialize into anything like advancing to the second round. But, they've got a nice young group there. And Lou Williams, probably their best player, but comes off the bench. They have a nice group of guys. They have a bright future ahead.
I will say this. To blow a 31-point lead, you have to first be up by 31 points. The Warriors had no business losing this game. I don't think they lose another game in the series. I thought we both kind of agreed that this would probably go 5, that the Warriors would slip up. This is an interesting storyline because of how they did lose. But I'm not worried about the Warriors. Now, let's be honest. If the Warriors lose in the first round series, I'm going to sleep perfectly fine that night. I'm not going to be devastated if the Golden State Warriors do not win this series. But they are the best basketball that is played in the NBA. They are the most entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
And although stereotypical NBA fans will tell you that they hate it, they don't. They love watching the Golden State Warriors. Now, listen, I don't want to see the Patriots all the time, but I love watching the Patriots in playoff football because there's so much on the line.
Right.
NBA fans and the NBA want Golden State to win.
Yeah.
So I think that they're going to do everything in their power, if not a player, because Draymond Green, I think, is probably the vocal leader. Steph Curry is the actual leader.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant's the best player, and Klay Thompson just is there to
He's
drop.
the glue guy.
He's there to drop 40 and sign a toaster if he needs to.
Right.
But what is the message from Steve Kerr going into the locker room tomorrow?
It's probably, we've been in worse situations. Obviously, they had to come back from behind in that series against Houston last year. But for him, I think the message is just, we've been here before, guys. What are we doing? We shouldn't have lost that game. They need to take a look at themselves and see what they did wrong, where they can improve. I think, Steve Kerr seems to be the ultimate motivator. It seems like he can get anyone to buy into his system. If he can get DeMarcus Cousins to buy into his system and not play, more selfish basketball, I think that speaks volume to the kind of coach that he is. Whatever he's going to say, it's going to work. Like, he knows how to reach these guys. You've mentioned it. It's harder every year. And, Steve Kerr's kind of mentioned that, how it's harder to get these guys motivated, but he somehow keeps finding a way to do it. I think he's going to be able to get it done. And I think the Clippers are just – I don't know if they'll be down 31 again, but I know they won't be coming back from anything like that next game.
The guy you mentioned, DeMarcus Cousins, he torn quad.
Yeah.
It's a 68-week injury, but he's out indefinitely. He's done.
Right.
He's done, which is kind of devastating for him because in the contract year it's the Achilles injury, and another contract year it's the torn quad, 10th year in the league. There's a lot riding on the line for him. You have to wonder if he just ends up re-signing with Golden State after this ultimately, because he's not going to get that big-time contract. But how does this affect the Warriors? Because they do have weaknesses. They always have. They have weaknesses, but their weaknesses are not as glaring as they are for other teams.
Right.
And I think maybe the Warriors maybe knew this was a possibility when they made a phone call last week to Andrew Bogut.
Yeah.
And trust me, he's not the same as DeMarcus
Cousins.
No. But he is probably a little bit more fresh coming to this. But DeMarcus Cousins, 2 nights ago, 4 minutes, 2 points. First game, 21 minutes, 9 points.
Yeah. Yeah, he hasn't been himself since coming back from that injury. And, it's unfortunate that he adds another injury. But I agree with you. That's why they gave Andrew Bogut a phone call. That's why they kept Kevon Looney around, Jerebko, Jordan Bell. For what DeMarcus Cousins brings to the table, he certainly made them better. But you were talking about it earlier. Draymond's the vocal leader, then Steph's like the actual leader. Kevin Durant's the best player. Klay Thompson's the glue guy. When you go in order of importance to the team, DeMarcus Cousins isn't that high. Like, obviously Durant, Curry, Draymond, Klay. I think Andre Iguodala is more important to what they do. I think Sean Livingston is really important to what they do. Andrew Bogut maybe even more important because he's more familiar with the system, and he doesn't have the same skill. He's not as offensively gifted as DeMarcus Cousins is, but he's a better defender than DeMarcus Cousins. He's just as good of a passer out of the post. He's just as good of a screener. So, you're not getting the complete package of what DeMarcus Cousins is when he's healthy with Andrew Bogut, but you're getting like 60% of what DeMarcus Cousins is. So, I hate to say it, but they probably won't miss him too terribly much. They didn't need him in the regular season whenever he wasn't there. These guys have won before. They know how to win with just about anybody at that center position. They've had, DeMarcus Cousins, Andrew Bogut, Looney, Verjao. They've had a ton of guys just rotate in. None of them had the talent of DeMarcus Cousins, but they all kind of had similar success. So I think the Warriors will be just fine. And it's really unfortunate for Cousins because I don't know what he does this summer now. It's a big question mark on his health.
I think he just has to re-sign with the Warriors. I really do.
Maybe.
Because
for the minimum again, though?
Here's the thing. He could go out and get that contract, but I think he's the type of player, or although money means something to everyone, he wants to have that success because he's largely been robbed of that in his NBA career.
Yeah, I mean, he's only got 2 playoff games under his belt in total.
And although, it didn't work out for Nerlens Noel,
Right.
and it hasn't worked out for DeMarcus Cousins. But sometimes you have to keep betting on yourself, because why would you sign a 4-year deal that's worth a third of what you could get if you prove that you can be healthy for 82 games? And I don't know that he ever can, but that 4-year midway contract is always going to be there for DeMarcus Cousins. There's going to be a lower tier team.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say the Kings now because the story's different, and obviously he was there. But I mean, there's always going to be a team that's
the Suns,
middle of the road,
the Memphis,
that'll
the Hawks,
pay him.
Yeah. I kind of disagree with you, Reed. Whenever big guys like that start having those lower extremity injuries, those don't typically get better.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were him, I would try and secure as much
at the moment.
Yeah, I would try to get as much money as I could right now, because you never know what's next.
That's probably the smarter decision, and that's something that he's going to have to talk about with his agent and with a doctor. I mean, he's going to have to go and have lengthy discussions.
I certainly do understand your point, though, trying to prove yourself, because that's why you hope these guys are.
Well, here's
playing.
the thing: it can't end negatively. Going with if we went with your he decides to sign that, it could end up really bad if he listened to me. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. I mean, but I think he's done indefinitely for these playoffs.
I think so too.
That is at least the announcement from the Warriors. But really quickly, score prediction for tomorrow night.
For the Clippers Warriors?
Yes.
I'll say Golden State 127, Clippers 115.
So a 12-point victory.
Yeah.
I would say it's going to be at least a double-point victory as well. So also 2 nights ago we had the 76ers and the Nets. And the Nets kind of shocked the world in Game 1, much like the Magic. But 76ers did not have negative storylines. It was all positives in this one. 51 points in the third quarter. Embiid 23, Simmons 18, and Harris 19. Everyone played well, and the Nets looked like the Nets.
Yeah, and I will say the Nets played really well in the first half. I can't remember off the top of my head how close it was going into halftime, but it was really close. But like you said, that 51 points in the third quarter kind of stopped the Nets dead in their tracks. I will say, you're right, all positive storylines coming out of Philadelphia, as far as no people texting on the sidelines, anything like that. But what worries me still is Joel Embiid only plays 21 minutes. Now, he has 23 points and 10 rebounds and 0 blocks, but, his health is a major, major key for this team. If he's healthy and out there, they're one of the 3 best teams in the East, I think. But if he's out there playing only around 20 minutes, they're going to have a lot tougher time playing, teams like Toronto, teams like Milwaukee, even Boston, because it all runs through him. You mentioned Tobias Harris is 19. I think he had 1 point going into halftime, and he was 1 for 8 or something like that. Jimmy Butler had 30-something points in Game 1. Only 7 points, 3 for 10 in this one. Ben Simmons showed up in this one, actually. He was actually, on the court, and people could tell where he was. Had a triple, or almost, he did have a triple-double. So he responded well from the criticism from that last game. Mike Scott shot well, but you're going into Brooklyn now. Your role players aren't going to play as well. You don't know if Ben Simmons is going to have that big of an impact in the game. You need Joel Embiid out there to be healthy and win these playoff games.
That's true, but the good news is I don't know how much of a home court
advantage
Brooklyn really is, but it is going to be different on the road. Ben Simmons gets that playoff triple-double, so it was nice to see the 76ers. Those lower seeds got that Game 1 magic.
Only one Nets starter had double-digit points.
Yeah, that's not good. I really liked what D'Angelo Russell had to say after the game, though. He seems to be in the right mindset. Yeah. He's grown up so much. Obviously, everyone knows that storyline getting traded from L.A., what Magic had to say. But I think they're not going to win the series, but I think they'll win another game at least.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, come back and talk about everything that happened in the NBA last night, some upsets as well. We will be right back on One-on-One after this.
One-on-One is brought to you by Tinker Federal Credit Union. Visit Facebook.com/TinkerFCU. While you're there for your family, we're there for you. Tinker Federal Credit Union. And OSU Communications. Not sure where to park? OSU Communications has got you covered with parking tips and bus schedule information. We'll be right back.
my mind, I was never going to walk right again. Before we were through, we had walked 23 steps. And that was my first steps of freedom. This patient is saying thank you.
Welcome back to One on One on Sunlink Channel 112. Not a good night for the Oklahoma City Thunder last night. We will start with the Thunder. They lose. They're down 0-2 now to the Portland Trailblazers. 114-94 loss. I said after game one, it's a good thing for the Thunder because they only lost by single digits and they played awful.
Yeah.
They were awful again last night. Cantor
Lost by a bit more than single digits.
Ennis Cantor only draws 6 points this time. That's the good news. But McCollum, 33.
Yeah.
Lillard, 29. Okay, take it away, Mr. Thunder. Take it away. Criticisms and all, be prepared to call for Jaws because I don't think that's I don't think that's anything wrong with that at this point.
No, you're looking at that right there. 5 for 28 from 3, Reed. Who on the Thunder roster do you want even remotely close to shooting a three-pointer?
Well,
outside of a healthy Paul George.
I was going to say, well, not Paul George now because of the shoulder.
Yeah, but a healthy Paul George maybe.
And maybe we should if it hasn't been trademarked already, Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
You know, that bit of a disaster for the Thunder.
Yeah.
Absolute disaster. Thunder fans, why they didn't see this coming from a mile away, I don't know. Because it seems like you and I were on the same page going into this series. At least Damian Lillard was somewhat covered, or McCollum somewhat covered there.
Yeah.
Because they were getting what? Yeah, well,
Seth Curry, only like the third or fourth best shooter in the league right now.
Bit of a wide three-pointer there, but what is going?
There's another one.
What's going on here?
I don't think Billy Donovan is an NBA caliber coach. I don't know if he can make the game time decisions, the adjustments to win in the postseason. You know, he's a great defensive coach. He's got a great system going for the defense. They were a really good defensive team for a majority of the season, but they're not anymore. Reed, their offense has caught up to them. Their offense of your turn, my turn, Westbrook, Paul George, it's the same thing, but from a couple of years ago, it's the same thing, except instead of Kevin Durant, you have Paul George. And you might actually have less shooting around those guys. I mean, Terrence Ferguson, 1 for 5. Russell Westbrook, 1 for 6. Jeremy Grant, 0 for 5. Paul George, 2 for 7. That's just the starters, Reed. Then off the bench, Marcus Morris, 1 for 1. Raymond Felton, 0 for 2. I love Raymond Felton. Don't know why he's in that game, though. I don't know why he played 15 minutes in a game 2 that you kind of needed to win to help yourself through the series. Dennis Schroeder, 0 for 1. That's an improvement from whatever he was in game 1. And I don't even know this guy's name. Let me look his name right now. Deontay Burton. Who's that? Where'd he come from, Reed?
Well, 4 minutes, 2 points. Hey, his plus minus is positives. That's more.
One of the few pluses in the box score.
Paul George drops 27. Russell Westbrook 14.
On 20 shots.
Steven Adams, 16. Those are the only guys in double figures. What a fall from grace for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Paul George was going to be the MVP. They were a legitimate threat to the Golden State Warriors. And then I don't know what happened.
Then after the All-Star break, it fell apart.
I don't know what happened.
I think Paul George got hurt. I would not be surprised, Reed, if whenever they lose this series, or if they somehow end up winning the series and go on to lose sometime in a later period, we're going to hear that Paul George has had a torn rotator cuff for I don't know how long. There's no way this guy's healthy. Because like you said, he was on track to be in the MVP conversation. And like one of the top 3 candidates for MVP for the majority of the year. And post All-Star break, he hasn't fallen apart because he's still putting up decent numbers, but he isn't the same guy. He hasn't had the same like kind of offensive performances as he's had earlier in the season. He's still a pretty good defender, one of the better defenders in the league, but it was all Paul George. It was Paul George or bust at the beginning of the year. And that's come back to bite him when Paul George isn't healthy. Russell Westbrook has not had a good season, hasn't been able to shoot at all. And Billy Donovan can't come up with plays to get other guys involved. You talked about Adams. The way Adams scores most of his points is on a quick dump off from Russell Westbrook, and he has to do that little quick floater that he does. And he's gotten pretty good at that. But there are no set plays to run for Steven Adams. There are no plays to get Jeremy Grant a shot. There are no plays to get Terrence Ferguson a shot. There's a high pick and roll with Russell Westbrook or Paul George handling the ball and Steven Adams or Jeremy Grant setting the screen. And then those guys create from there. There's no creativity to this offense. It's, Steve Kerr said it earlier in the year, I think. It's easy to guard Oklahoma City. And he specifically was talking about Westbrook, I think. But he's right. There's not a lot of complexity to this. There's complexity to Portland's offense, Reed. Russell Westbrook and Paul George each took 20 shots. Steven Adams took 8. Jeremy Grant took 7. Ferguson took 9. Of the Portland starters, no one took less than 6 shots. They did a good job of getting the ball around, and I felt like they moved it in a more organic way than how Oklahoma City moves the ball. So, I think whenever the Thunder lose, it's time to consider a coaching change. And
I don't think you consider it. I think the decision's been made, whether they win this series or not.
Billy Donovan's got to go.
Because there's just, and it's always been a roller coaster with this franchise, and what they've been able to accomplish is unreal. But they need some stability to where somebody can pull in Russell Westbrook and take control. They need somebody else to be able to take control, and no one takes control. Billy Donovan never takes control, and it's inexcusable. I don't want to go as far as, will Paul George regret signing here? No, because who else is he going to sign with? The Lakers?
Yeah, that would have been.
How's that?
That would have been great.
That show going? Not real well. The Lake Show is a disaster. I don't think he'd regret signing it, but that's not what you want, losing to the Utah Jazz, being upset by them. Losing, although it wouldn't be an upset based on seeds, they should be able to beat the Trailblazers. With the talent they have, they should be able to beat the Trailblazers. Because, they're kind of like the Raptors. They choke. They choke in the playoffs, but I guess so do the Thunder. This is a disaster series. Do you think it ends in a sweep?
No, I think the Crowd and Chesapeake will be good enough to get 1 win. I think this is a 5 or 6 game Portland win. But, Reed, you want to hear Paul George's numbers since the All-Star break? 26.5 points on 43% shooting, 27% from 3. That is such a fall off from where he was before the All-Star break. He's just not healthy. And, Sam Presti has some blame here because, we talk about how there's no shooting around this and how Billy Donovan doesn't exactly, have a great offense running there. Sam Presti is the guy that put all these pieces together. And he gets a ton of credit, and he should for, building the team around, Westbrook and Durant and, all the success that the team has had. But he needs to look at how the rest of the NBA has won, how the Warriors have won, how the Rockets have had success, how the Spurs have had success, how LeBron, obviously it's different than looking at how you built around LeBron, but, you need shooting. Your team has to be able to shoot. You can't just have 1 or 2 guys that can score, and one of them not be a shooter, by the way, in Russell Westbrook. That just doesn't work. It's not 1985 anymore.
And I think at the time of the contract was playing well, but Steven Adams is not worth what they're paying him now, and he is not good. He's not good. He gets dominated all the time.
Yeah.
It's time to make a serious change in Oklahoma City. But the good news is that they're making the playoffs. They're doing these things.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. There's good news, but there's also bad news.
They're just in purgatory.
Who else is out there?
Right.
Like, who do you go get to fix this thing?
Yeah, you can't. Like, we were talking about it earlier, looking for a potential coach to replace Billy Donovan. There's not a surefire, this guy knows how to win championships kind of coach. You know, you think maybe Kevin McHale can be that guy. He got to Western Conference Finals with the Rockets.
But you have to wonder if he would gel with Westbrook,
Right,
because it didn't work with Harden.
Absolutely. And, Mark Jackson, he had a ton of success building the Warriors, kind of. He was their coach before Steve Kerr took over. But he was obviously let go for a reason. There's reasons these guys aren't coaches right now. If you were only a coach because you were winning, Greg Popovich would never get fired. Steve Kerr will never get fired. Brad Stevens probably won't get fired because I still think he has that potential. But outside of that, Reed, and I guess Doc Rivers has won a championship. Who else out there right now that you can think of has won a championship as a coach?
They're not
Tyronn Lue.
coaching.
Tyronn Lue doesn't even have a job.
No. And you could Eric Spoelstra.
Oh, yeah. Yes, thank you.
But, I mean, that probably won't last that much longer.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not awful in Miami, but there was some other games that were played. The storylines going forward with Thunder are going to be very interesting offseason. But your guy, Kawhi Leonard, drops 37, 4 rebounds, 4 assists in a 111-82 win over the Magic. DJ Augustine did not hit a dagger 3 to win the game this time.
No
it
chance.
Was all but over. The Raptors did not choke. Surprise, surprise.
Kyle Lowry, more than 0 points.
Yeah. He was in double digits, I believe, correct?
Yeah, he did.
That's shocker.
Right? Maybe it's just game ones he doesn't play very well in. But
no, it's most of them. It's not just game ones.
Especially game ones. But, yeah, I kind of expected this, I was very shocked when the Magic stole game 1. I knew the Raptors were not going to let them, get 2 games, especially both of them in Toronto. Like you said, Kawhi Leonard with the 37 points. Kyle Lowry, 22 points. That doesn't quite make up for the goose egg in game 1. But Pascal Siakam, also 19 points, 10 rebounds. They played really well. They played really, really well. I think this is going to be a 5-game series. I think the Raptors just win out from here. Good for Orlando to win the first one, but I don't see it. Nikola Vucevic, only 3 for 7, 6 points.
It's not promising.
No. And if you give me the best player and the better coach, I'll be happy to give you 1 game, but that's it.
Yeah, I think the Magic are just going to get worked from here on out.
Yeah,
Orlando's one of those things where that's not a.
And you got, even if you're going to lose in 5, if you're Orlando, you got to think this is a great season. You make the playoffs for the first time in forever. They've got a good coach. I can't remember. Steve Clifford. I think Steve Clifford's their coach. He's done a really great job turning that roster around. Because this is basically the same roster that, barely won 20-something games last year. So it's a pretty good turnaround for them too. So, even if you're going to get mollywopped in the next 3 games, you got to look for the positives.
Yeah, really quickly, Jamal Murray goes off in Denver. 21 of 24 points in the fourth quarter. They come back from 19 down to beat the Spurs 114-105. Series is now tied at 1, headed back to San Antonio. Jamal Murray is not going to do that again. Without that, the Crowd don't win. DeRozan, 31 points. Jokic didn't play great, but still 2 assists away from a triple-double.
Yeah.
Who is the favorite now in this series?
I think it's still San Antonio. They have home court at this point. As long as San Antonio can take care of, their home court, they'll win the series. So, I thought they were about to sweep them until Jamal Murray went on that little run. I think the game was tied at 95 or something like that, and he just went off. It seemed like he could have thrown the ball behind his head from half court and it was going to go in. He wasn't going to miss. So, but I'm with you. I don't think he's going to be able to do that in San Antonio. I think this Denver team's going to be really good in the future. They're just a little too young right now. Right. They're a little too inexperienced. They have to learn how to win. If they can do it now, that'd be great, but I don't see that happening.
Okay, I'm going to run through the games tonight really quickly. Pacers, Celtics up 1-0.
Give me Celtics.
Pistons, Bucks up 1-0.
Bucks by 1,000.
Jazz, Rockets up 1-0.
I'll take Houston.
By 500, not 1,000.
But yeah, it's not as good of a lock.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Pacers and Celtics might be the closest one, but outside of that, I don't think the other 2 games are close. So we're going to take a quick break, go back and learn which coach was reinstated after some NCAA investigations. We'll be right back after this.
One-on-One is brought to you by Oklahoma Christian University. Get your master's degree in accounting, business administration, theology, engineering, computer science, or cybersecurity from Oklahoma Christian University. Apply at oc.edu/grad. Oklahoma University is committed to offering the best graduate school experience we possibly can. Come learn and grow with us. And The Table. Stop by The Table on Thursdays at 8 p.m. to join their Bible study. Shoot Rachel an email at rachel@thetableosu.com for more information. We'll be right back.
Welcome back into One-on-One. It's time to talk a little bit of college basketball mixed in with the NBA because these guys are going to be pro before very long. But let's start with Will Wade, the head coach of the Louisiana State LSU. Suspended on March 8th because of, apparently he's on wiretap.
Release the tapes.
He straight up refused to talk to school officials in the NCAA. On March 8th, is suspended, so he, I guess, decides, get his lies in order, I would guess, or get his story straight, talks to the NCAA, talks to LSU, and he's reinstated. This is an ongoing lawsuit. Why?
I don't know. As long as this isn't like last year with Sean Miller at Arizona, he's probably in a lot of trouble. He had a great season, obviously. You know, he wasn't able to coach in the tournament. I think LSU was still able to make it to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, still won the SEC with interim coach, but
this is not a good look for LSU or Will Wade at all. No matter how this plays out, it's probably not going to be a good look for him. We were just talking before the show started. He looks like a mobster. He looks like a scary dude you wouldn't want to wrong. And maybe that's how he was able to get reinstated. Maybe he knew he was going to call in a favor to. Just kidding, but why, Reed, do you have any idea why LSU would even consider bringing this guy back in the middle of all this?
Well, I'll read you an article from a little excerpt from Jeff Borzello, who wrote the story on this for ESPN, and this is a paragraph from this article.
Okay.
A U.S. District Court judge in New York is scheduled to rule Friday whether defense attorneys can subpoena Wade and Arizona coach Sean Miller to testify in an upcoming federal criminal trial involving college basketball corruption.
If you get subpoenaed, that's probably
I don't
not good.
care if the wiretap wasn't him. I don't care. He's caught up in this, and you gotta let go. You have to move on from him. He's not worth going through the roller coaster. I'm sorry if they won the SEC. I'm sorry if he can recruit. Now we know why, possibly.
Yeah.
No one cares about basketball at LSU. They don't. But you have to you have to get rid of this guy. You can't let somebody with that baggage around him continue to be there. You can't. You just can't have it at your university.
Yeah, I mean, he wins though. And I know you made a really great point, and I agree with you. But just from the standpoint of LSU, do you think they think it's worth it as long as they keep winning, even if it's just this little bump in the road? Because, maybe they believe that they'll get a violation, maybe they'll have their SEC title vacated or something like that, but they can continue on after that. Do you think that's kind of their mindset looking forward instead of having to basically restart? Because you're right, people at LSU don't care about the basketball team. They care about
Football.
what happens
Saturdays in the fall.
Yeah. Saturdays in the fall are what they care about. So maybe they're trying to just keep interest around this program with Will Wade as coach. He is a good coach.
He's a good coach. He went 18-15 his first season. Obviously, he was 25-5 before the suspension was handed down. Apparently, he did enough to convince the school, and he may be innocent, but I don't care.
Yeah.
If I'm LSU, I don't care. He's caught up in this, and the fact that he still may be subpoenaed, he may have to go testify. That's not something that you want around your program.
Right.
And it's something that you need to distance yourself from. But ultimately, if he's innocent, he should be able to keep his job, but I just have a hard time believing he's completely innocent.
Yeah, for especially how the landscape of college basketball is, it's hard to imagine anyone is, truly innocent in as far as this recruiting thing goes. But, I guess we'll see if he gets subpoenaed. Maybe LSU can change. Maybe that way they can find something in like a morality clause, so maybe they don't have to pay him whenever they fire. Maybe do you think that could be part of it? They're just waiting to see how it plays out to see if they can part ways without having to basically buy him out of his contract.
I mean, that's possible. It's very possible, but even with just the fact that he may have to go, that this isn't over is what is so. And I get wanting to end the suspension. You want to move forward as fast as you can, but I just don't see this ending well for Will Wade and LSU.
Yeah, and not for Sean Miller in Arizona either, as far as all that goes. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I imagine he'll still be the coach at the beginning of next year. I think at this point they've made their decision, no matter what, unless he has to go to jail.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I imagine he's the LSU coach for a long time, and they think it'll just blow over.
It's very possible LSU is going to have to decide to do it. They decided now at least to reinstate him. So for now, he is back to being the head coach of the LSU Tigers. A guy, Rick Barnes, in the SEC as well, had a ton of success at Tennessee. They were the number one team in the country for a long time. They made it to the Sweet 16 as well before losing to, I believe, Purdue.
Yeah.
He's still at Tennessee.
Why would you say this, Reed?
He says in an interview, I would have left for UCLA if they paid out my $5 million buyout.
Why? Why would you ever say that?
I have no idea what he was doing saying this. I have zero clue why he would have not kept this to himself.
Yeah. I mean, Reed, that's like let's just say we got paid for this show, and you got an opportunity.
You're not being paid?
No, I have not received a check.
Uh-oh.
Niece, have you been? It's
just
Reed.
This is awkward.
Okay.
This is really awkward.
We have to have a talk with someone after the show. But let's just say we were all getting paid, not just you. And, one of us got another offer to go somewhere else. But, they had to pay me $500 to let you go, whatever. And you were like, and I was like, I won't do it. Because, and you were like, you know what? Good friend, Logan. But you know what? I would have gone to that other show. And then you just expect us to have
a perfect relationship.
Yeah, a normal relationship. Why would you self-sabotage yourself? Do you think I don't even know what the point of that would be. It's not like he's trying to get leverage to go somewhere else because the UCLA job's already taken.
Listen, I always appreciate honesty, but sometimes it's better to just
keep your mouth shut.
Just don't talk. And the media loves it because he was open and honest, and he said a lot of prayer went into it. But he did say he wasn't going to just get on a plane and go to UCLA. He was going to talk to Philip Fulmer, the athletic director. He was going to talk to people that he had good relationships with. He loved the community. But he didn't love it enough not to want to be in Brentwood. I just don't understand how this could possibly – I mean, if you're on the team, that's got to be a weird feeling. This guy would have been gone if UCLA wasn't cheap.
Yeah. I mean, how do you think the guys that he's recruiting to Tennessee feel about that? Like, dang, I would have
feel good about it.
I would have just been stranded here. He would have left. He was gonna be gone, and I think if you're, isn't there some clause like if you're recruited by someone and they leave, you can withdraw your commitment or something
letter
like that.
of intent, yeah.
Yeah. But still, even like the guys that he had just recruited that just got there, those guys have to feel a certain kind of way about it, and everyone involved, the managers, the assistant coaches, the athletic director at Tennessee, the fans of Tennessee, like that is. You just shouldn't say stuff like that. You shouldn't say, "Man, I wish I had gotten that other job, but you know what? I guess I'll stick around."
Yeah, it is a weird thing for him to say, nonetheless. But he's stuck at Tennessee, and I use the word stuck because he was going to take a buyout to go to UCLA. But the Bruins ultimately hired Mick Cronin from Cincinnati, and we'll see how that hire pans out. But definitely an odd story from Rick Barnes. In other college basketball news, Zion declared for the draft. Breaking news, right?
Whoa.
Shocker.
Whoa.
Zion is going to the NBA draft after apparently the year of his life.
Yeah.
He's been really great. He's said all the right things. He's done all the right things. He's probably going to be the number 1 overall pick. But that leads me, you've heard about Kyle Guy, Ty Jerome. Everyone, I mean, there's 5 guys from LSU alone that have committed to the draft. Now, you can go, even signing with an agent, you can still come back to school now in college basketball. But I want to know, in your mind, not necessarily the order they will go, but your top players in this draft.
I think Zion is one. And then number 2, I have a tie. RJ Barrett and John Morant. I think those two, 2A, 2B, depending on the team, either one of those guys could have great success. And I'm looking at a little list. I think we're both looking at the same Forbes article. They have Jarrett Culver 4. I don't know if I would have Jarrett Culver 4 just because of, he didn't play that well at the end in the NCAA tournament, even in the Final Four or the national championship game. I didn't think he was that good. I would probably have DeAndre Hunter up there, and that might be a little recency bias with what he did in the tournament. Rui Hachimura from Gonzaga is going to be really good. Cam Reddish, I think, is underrated. I think his season at Duke it really hurt his draft stock going there because he was, it was RJ and Zion. Cam was kind of forgot about, but people forget he was the number 3 recruit from this class. So I think he still has really great NBA potential. Some other guy, Kobe White, I think is really good. Nasir Little, I think, is underrated. I think he'll be a lottery pick. Jackson Hayes out of Texas, I guess. He has a lot of potential. And how many have I listed so far? Have I got to 10?
I think so,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's going to be those top few picks that everyone turns their attention to. And it has been kind of that widely disputed thing. You have to have things to talk about in sports media, but it is Zion or RJ. And sometimes you see this in the NBA where the consensus among fans, you would think, should go number 1, does go number 1.
Right.
But I think whether it's the Knicks or whoever takes the number 1 overall pick, it would be the most Knicks thing ever to
take RJ Barrett.
To take RJ Barrett with the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
But I think that Zion is the consensus best player in this draft.
I agree. I think Zion's the best prospect since at least Anthony Davis, if not probably Kevin Durant. So
yeah,
he has all the skills except shooting, but you can work on that. You can improve that. But he also works hard and he cares. He cared about every game at Duke, it seemed like. And you can't say that about everybody else. You can't say that about RJ Barrett. It seemed like he would kind of like, spaced out and went into his own realm at times. Cam Reddish especially, I talked about that earlier. He just has all the tools and what seems to be the work ethic to want to be the best. So I think he's the consensus number 1.
Yeah, no off-the-court problems,
Yeah.
and there really isn't for the majority of this class. So it is a good class coming in. And obviously we've got a couple months till we find out who the number 1 overall pick is, but I think everyone believes, and it should be Zion Williamson out of Duke. But Dukie's going to have a lot of people going in that lottery. So we're going to take a quick break, come back and talk about just how wealthy Russell Wilson is now. He made his deadline and he got what he wanted.
Also released probably the weirdest video of 2019.
I haven't seen that video yet.
It's not
good.
I'll show you during the break.
But we'll be right back to talk about the new contract for Russell Wilson right after this.
One-on-One is brought to you by Oklahoma Air National Guard. Contact Oklahoma Air National Guard at 800-GO-TO-ANG or visit their website at goang.com/OK for more information about how to get 100% college tuition. And Unitarian Universalist Church. If you're looking for a church home, visit Unitarian Universalist Church of Stillwater, located at 320 South Stallion Street. They offer an alternative spiritual path and welcome all races, religions, and beliefs. They're also LGBTQ friendly. Services every Sunday at 10:30. We'll be right back.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
CAS prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
Welcome back into one-on-one. Right, you see Trevor Boone not only going a yard there, he hit it off the softball press box. That was a moonshot from Trevor Boone.
Absolutely.
The Cowboys get a good midweek win, 6-3 over Dallas Baptist last night. The Cowgirls get a huge win over Tulsa.
Right.
I really think that Tulsa win meant a lot to this Cowgirls team because they have to be in the top 16 RPI to host a regional. They are 17 right now, 5-0 win. They hadn't beat Tulsa in 5 attempts, and they had lost the last 12 out of the last 13.
Yeah.
So they get this weekend off. They had almost a week before they have to play North Texas. So, and 2 more series, Texas Tech and OU after that. So this was a really, really good win for the Cowgirls.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like you said, just the struggle that they've had with this Tulsa team. It's, you know, we talked about it earlier with the Raptors. You know, they choke in the playoffs. You know, sometimes people just, certain teams have other teams that have their number all the time or certain situations they seem to struggle in. And that Tulsa team was one of those teams for the Cowgirls softball team. But they're a different team this year, Reed. They're really good. I think they have a really good shot of hosting a regional. I don't know if they can make it all the way to hosting a super regional, but they're going to be really, really good. I think they have a really good shot. We'll have to see how the Big 12 tournament goes because obviously, you know, OU is the team to beat. Texas is really good. But I think OSU's in that mix with those other 2 teams. They're a really, really good softball team.
They can't lose to anyone besides OU if they want to host this regional, and I think that that's a real possibility. Only 4 more games before they take on the Sooners, and I think they have a good shot. I don't know if they can win the series, but I think they have a really good shot at stealing one. Last year, only a 1-0 loss here in Stillwater, and I think the Cowgirls are much improved from this point last year. So hopefully they can get into that top 16 RBI. I think it would be a big accomplishment for Coach Gajewski and the Cowgirls to host a regional.
Yeah.
And I don't think if they get to a super regional, I don't think anyone wants to see them there.
No, I agree. They're not like quite up there with, you know, the top tiers, but they're certainly one of the best teams in the Big 12 now. They have a real shot of making some big noise, you know, especially in the Big 12 tournament. I think the only team that they don't have a good shot of beating in the Big 12 tournament would be OU. But I think if they host a regional, I think they'll take care of that pretty easily, and I think they'll make some noise at a super regional. I don't know if they can make it to the World Series, but they have a really good shot and they have a really bright future as well.
Yeah, so good stuff on the diamond for the Cowboys and Cowgirls last night. Now let's move on to Russell Wilson, who you did show me that video. Very weird. He gave the Seahawks a midnight deadline on tax day for, he wanted a new extension, 4 years, $140 million. He's now the highest paid player in the National Football League. Good deal for the Seahawks or good deal for Russell Wilson, or both?
I think it's a great deal for Russell Wilson. I think it's a really good deal for the Seahawks, too. I believe the contract's pretty front-loaded. It's obviously a $64 million signing bonus, which, I wouldn't complain if someone slid me a piece of paper that said I was going to get $64 million as soon as I signed it. But he's played really well the past couple of seasons. He got him to the playoffs. It used to be the Legion of Boom kind of carried Russell Wilson in the offense, but this year it was kind of the opposite. Russell Wilson played really, really well and led them to the playoffs. So I think I don't know if he's earned the right to be the top paid player in the NFL. I think that's Tom Brady, but Tom Brady's never been the top paid guy. And I think that's part of why New England has had such great success. If he's willing to take a pay cut, everyone else better be too. But, I have no problem with Russell Wilson wanting some money. He's earned it more so than anyone else on that roster. So, yeah, I think it's a great deal. It's a good deal for the Seahawks because, obviously putting that much cap in a quarterback isn't the best situation, but I think it's a really, really great deal for Russell Wilson. Thank you, Reed.
Yeah, sign there for $64 million. Right there, deal is done. I like this deal.
I'm now the highest paid host of One-on-One.
Well, a lot of back pay in there apparently. So, I like this deal. I like the fact that Wilson kind of set that mark for himself. Like, hey, I'm not doing it during the year, but I want a deal right now. And although it's not great for Bobby Wagner and Frank Clark because they're probably out the door, I love when you see in NCAA, people don't like when players are vocal. Oh, you already get paid this much, deal with it. No.
Yeah.
I love Russell Wilson basically calling his shot, and whether he was bluffing or not, the Seahawks did not call his bluff.
I also like how he handled it, like you said earlier, not going into the season, not going to be a distraction. We saw how that turned out in Pittsburgh with the Le'Veon Bell situation. Russell Wilson seems to be a completely team-first kind of guy. He wants to be compensated fairly for what he does, but he's about the team. He didn't want to distract the team or anything like that. And you mentioned it. Bobby Wagner is probably a casualty of this contract. They're probably not going to have the money to pay him later on.
Frank Clark tweeted, "They lied to me."
Oh,
which is not good.
Yeah.
But I think this is a great deal. I think the Seahawks would have been delusional for letting Russell Westbrook walk. I think Russell Wilson. Excuse me. I should probably let Russell Westbrook walk. Trust me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a great deal for Wilson. You can't let him walk. He's a top 5 quarterback in this league, if not more than that. And when you have a quarterback of his caliber, you never let them go. So I think this is a great deal in the right direction. Even if it is too much money, you overpay for quarterbacks, always. He's won you a Super Bowl, and he survived, really, the Legion of Boom, and he's all you have left of that team. And he's kind of like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and I think now you can put, Patrick Mahomes in that list of, as long as they're playing, you're never going to get blown out, and you always got a chance to win the game, as long as those guys are in that. When you have those guys, you pay them.
Drew Brees? Is he still in that conversation?
He's still in that conversation, but for about one more year.
Yeah.
Because that arm lasts for about 12 weeks, and then it's
gone.
It's gone. It's gone. So, obviously, great deal for the Seahawks. They're a record-setting deal. I think that'll be surpassed next season.
I was about to say, how long do you think he's the highest-paid player?
Probably a year to the day. Patrick Mahomes will surpass him, probably $40 million a year.
Okay.
Mahomes will surpass him, and then after that, Mahomes will get surpassed, and then so on and so forth.
It seems like everyone one-ups each other every year.
Rodgers did have the deal for a couple years, but everyone, they get one-upped at some point. That's just how time goes. So the Arizona Cardinals came out and said they haven't decided on their number 1 overall pick.
Whatever.
Liars.
Yeah.
Liars, liars, liars. I don't believe that one bit at all. I think they're going to trade Josh Rosen, and I think they're going to get Kyler Murray at number 1 overall.
Where's the best fit? I agree with you, first of all. Where's the best fit, though, where can they get the most for Josh Rosen?
Ooh, I mean.
Is it New York?
The Giants probably, but how much draft capital do they really have?
Right.
But, I mean, maybe you get a 1 out of him.
I was about to say, is he worth a first-round pick?
Yeah.
He was, the 10th pick a year ago?
Yeah, and to his credit, I think he's got probably, he can throw the best football of that draft class, but he didn't have a great year because he essentially had this desk blocking for him.
Yeah.
And they just went around, and he had no time. He had no success.
Yeah, his main weapon was a 120-year-old Larry Fitzgerald.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, the aging Fitzgerald. But I think that, I mean, every time they show Cliff Kingsbury and they mention Kyler Murray, I mean, he just goes gaga over this guy. I mean, you see it in his eyes. I mean, he just goes crazy.
Yeah.
There's no way they don't select Kyler Murray.
Yeah, and let's just pretend they don't. Who do they take? Do they take Nick Bosa?
I would guess. I
can't see it though.
There's been too much talk about this Kyler Murray stuff for it not to be true. And
Right.
I get a lot of it is manufactured by people in the media. And even if they've tweeted, we support Josh Rosen, he shows up for camp. I don't care.
Yeah.
They have not.
That's his job.
If they were completely sold on Josh Rosen, it would have been a statement from Cliff Kingsbury. Not a oh, he's our quarterback right now. Yeah, he's our leader. No. Hey, we don't know who we're going to select, but it's not going to be a quarterback because Josh Rosen is our guy. Easy as that. Hasn't been done. Hasn't been done.
It's not going to be done. I think you're right. They're going to trade Josh Rosen for whatever they can get, the best offer, and then draft Kyler Murray. And I don't think it's going to work with Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury. Mostly because Cliff Kingsbury couldn't even win in the Big 12.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's going to win in the NFL if he couldn't even compete with OU or,
Oklahoma State for that matter. Beat him one time in his last season and then got fired. So we're going to take a 49-hour break. We're going to be back at our regular time at 11 o'clock on Friday. We will be joined by Barrett Gass to break down the hockey segment. I'm actually excited about this. I'm excited to talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning, and we will break down updates of the NBA playoff series as well. We will be back on Friday. Thank you so much for watching One-on-One. We'll see you then.